Hello, everybody. Christina Wolf here, and it is another weekly card pull party. And I'm really excited to talk about this week's energy because this coming week it's going to be April 23rd to the next Sunday, which is the 29th. And on the 29th is the full moon in Scorpio. And I have a really amazing live guided meditation that I'm putting together because in conjunction with the full moon in Scorpio is going to be the energy of Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron shifted from Pisces on April 17th, came into Aries, and it has been in Pisces for like the last, I think, 9 or 11 years. And so hello, Jen. How are you? Thank you for joining. I'm really excited about this shift of Chiron because Chiron, if you don't know, Chiron is an asteroid that's got a really strange elliptical orbit. And so when it comes into our orbit, it's here for quite a while. It's either in a sign for 2 years or it's in a sign for like 9 or 11 years. Hey, is it Risa or Risa? I always want to get everybody's names right. So let me know so I'm not mispronouncing your name. Hello, if you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm talking about all this crazy energy that we've had this week and the influence of the full moon in Scorpio at the end of this week, next Sunday, and then the energy of Chiron, which is the wounded healer energy that I mentioned in the last card reading. And Chiron has a pretty big influence on me for some reason. Oh, like Risa. Okay, cool. All right, perfect. I want to make sure I got your name right. So again, it's been in Pisces for like the last like 9 or 11 years, and now it's moving into Aries as of the 17th, just a few days ago. And it's going to be there for the next 9 years. And the reason why this is important is because the wounded healer, like in Pisces, was a lot of us like really needing to dig deep and go into like that healing of the self. Hey, Hope, welcome. And kind of that really wounded feeling, like I'm broken, I'm messed up. And this new energy of Chiron and Aries is more like I have healed myself and now I will go forth into the world. And it's such like necessary energy for right now because there's so much strife, there's so much turbulence going on. And one of the other aspects, I'm not like an astrology expert, but I'm slowly becoming more proficient at understanding I feel a certain way because oh wow, I look it up and like the way that the planetary aspects are, I'm like, this makes perfect sense. So something we don't necessarily have to know the specifics of astrology to understand why we feel a certain way. Because after you look into the actual specifics of it, then you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Hi, Kim. Hello to everybody just coming on. And so one of the other aspects for like this week in particular is it's the Mars-Pluto square. And I think we're all, without really knowing what any of that means, if you've been feeling aggravated, if you've been feeling irritated with loved ones, if you've been just sort of irritated on an internal scale, and that's translating into maybe some aggression or just tension maybe, this week, the reason for that is this Mars-Pluto square. And the reason for that is, okay, back in the day before we discovered Pluto was a planet, it used to rule the sign of Scorpio. Mars used to rule the sign of Scorpio. But now that they found Pluto, they've allotted that planet to Mars. To Scorpio. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is this coming together and the full moon in Scorpio is going to basically be like these two major planets that have ruled Scorpio coming together, and with the energy of Chiron, which is the wounded healer. It's some really intense, repressed emotions coming to the surface, but at a really perfect time, because Chiron's moving into Aries, and Aries is a time of doing and taking action. And this is the time to really let go of some repressed, pissed off, like yucky, crappy energy that was really hidden for a long time. And this, another thing too, if most of us who are here are like pretty intuitive, so sometimes we're feeling like really out of sorts or picking up a lot of intense turbulent energy. It's because we're processing stuff for the collective. Like I had this crazy dream last night where I was witnessing like almost like a photo shoot or some sort of promotional thing for a bunch of porn stars, and like these guys were like going over and grabbing them and like just objectifying them. And I just remember like waking up like super pissed off at like men and being like just, ugh, I don't want to deal with sex, I'm going to become a nun. And I was like, where is this coming from? And a lot of it is just the collective unconscious of like the feminine unconscious and the patriarchy, the breaking down of all of that. And we're feeling it. It's the undercurrents. And that's what Scorpio is all about. Lots of deep, intense undercurrents. So if you feel like, oh, I'm so irritated, all I want to do is like live under a rock. Sometimes, even living under the rock is not going to help you because you're irritated with yourself as well. So there's some really intense, crazy energy. If you find yourself butting heads with loved ones over power struggles, that's going to be intense. Little stuff, little things like, well, I want to wear the covers on top of me, but you want to sleep on top of the covers. Little petty stuff like that really is just like a result of this undercurrent of that Mars-Pluto square. And really what it is Mars is all about your external power, how you exert your personal power in the external world. And Pluto, which rules Scorpio now, is all about that internal power, how you manifest your personal power internally. So like, am I in control of my feelings? This is a great week to really pay attention if you've learned over the years how to control feelings of irritation, how to move energy through your body, how when you could have been irritable with somebody or lashed out, you learn a lot about controlling yourself, internal control, and how you apply that power to yourself. When you're fully in your power and you're centered, this is a great week for you because everybody else is sort of responding to the chaos and the turbulence, but you're just like, yeah, this is like, I can get some traction here and I can get some stuff done. It really depends on where you are in your birth natal chart and all that other stuff too. But people with any kind of Scorpio in your rising sign, the moon in Scorpio, anybody having to do with Aries, it's just going to be kind of a crazy week. And all of the rest of us kind of going along for the ride, we're feeling it. We're feeling just there may be on a global scale some more fighting, some more, think of the Syria situation, things like that. So the internal aspects basically make your external, you're more fearful of the external manifestations of what other people are doing, but there's no reason for it. Okay, it's just pay attention to your own inner sense of how am I processing things. The other thing is, if flexibility, the word flexibility has come to mind. Go with the flow. Like again, I was talking about this last week with the sea turtles and Finding Nemo. Like, you can decide to go with the flow, you can bend with it, or you can let it break you. But there's no need to let it break you. So again, I think that's some of the stuff coming up. Then also, I wrote some notes because I had a lot of stuff coming out. For this coming Saturday, I am doing I started out with like just a live guided healing meditation using the full moon energy in Scorpio. And I really feel like, okay, whenever I've done a live guided meditation. It's really awesome. But what helped was afterward being able to talk it out, like, what did I get out of it? It's going to be part guided journey. Like if you've ever done a shamanic journey, it's going to be you going within yourself and receiving some answers from spirit. And, you know, we're going to be using all the elements, but mostly we're going to be working with the element of water, because Scorpio is a water sign, and water is all about your emotions. And what a great way to deal with repressed emotions, right? So use that water energy to bring up the energy, or the repressed emotions. But we'll also rely on the other elements: air, earth, fire. It's going to be up to you how you wish to use them to support you. If you don't resonate with one or the other, that's totally up to you. But there will be some preparation for it if you wish to participate. That way, you know, when you arrive on Zoom, it's going to be on Zoom. It won't be on here. The reason why I did that is so that I finally got it set up where everybody can join at one time. But I want us to be able to also, if you've never used Zoom, be familiar with it so that you can turn off your camera if you want to be anonymous, you want to have some privacy. You know, you can just listen in and be a spectator. You can hit mute. Because you may find, like, when you're going through this healing meditation, that it's like some really pissed off feelings come up, or you just want to cry or whatever, and let it all out. And you don't need to be self-conscious. But the point of this is, like, the group energy is part of the thing that makes us feel safe to address all of these sometimes scary feelings that we haven't addressed because it didn't feel safe to do so. So anyway, I'm going to get into that later. I'm going to have more posts this week in the group about, like, how to prepare. It's going to be real simple stuff. Like, get yourself some water in a bottle. And I know I talked before about how we bless, like, water, and infuse it with the right energy, things like that. Also, how to use Zoom if you're not familiar with it, how to get onto the platform. You don't need to have a Zoom account in order to access it. If you want to use stones, literally like rocks from your yard, that's earth energy. When we talked about blowing into rocks, go find a good rock, prepare for it. Or a crystal that you know works for you. I showed y'all blue kyanite. This is blue kyanite. Okay, I'm not sure if you have enough time to go get some. I don't know how easily, readily available it is. I bought mine online on Amazon. I love this stuff. It's one of the best, most universal healing and helping you move energy stones there are. And so prepare for that. Go see if you can go locate some kyanite or another crystal that was really resonating with you. That's earth energy. Okay. Fire. If you have candles, you can get use the energy of the fire there. Ideally, you want to be somewhere where you can have access to moonlight. If you don't, no big deal. We're still feeling the effects of the moon, whether we're inside or outside. This is all coming up. For those of you just popping on, I'm talking about a guided meditation. I'm calling it a workshop at this point because I'm also going to ask you to have a journal and a pen. That way, after the fact, you can write down what you went through, and if you want to talk it out, we can, let it go that way. Just give us some closure. So all that's going to be coming up. I'll have more concrete details in a post or whatnot. And if you sign up for it, I might be able to send you an email. I haven't quite decided how to disseminate the information yet, but no big deal. Just know that it's coming up, and I kind of feel like I intuitively knew we needed to do something like this because it's just last week alone, I was just like so aggravated on so many levels about like petty stuff, and yet it wasn't really petty because it wasn't really about the little things. And if you're having a hard time processing and getting that energy out of you, because it's going to be another intense week, this is good. And again, that Aries, Chiron and Aries energy is just the big shift, I think, is what's doing it. And this Scorpio and the Mars-Pluto square. So If you don't know what any of that is and you don't follow astrology, you don't need to know that you're feeling kind of crazy right now. So that said, let's talk about the cards. Who here would like a card? And would you like an animal card or would you like an herbal card? And I'll pay attention to the comments. Let's see, who do we got here? Shelly says, ooh, I did that before too. He didn't have a clue what was wrong. Yeah. Let's see. Where did I put my animal cards? They're right here. If you'd like a card, let me know. And in the meantime, I'm going to open up some sacred space here. And again, those of you who just popping on for the first time, sacred space is calling in the 4 directions and inviting in the energy of the East. For me, the East is over here. So the winds of the East, thank you for coming in and guiding us. You are the space from which all things begin and the place to which all things end. The great void, the knowingness within, the esoteric wisdom of the universe, the mysteries of God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We thank you for the eagle, Brother Eagle's energy, the bird who can fly the highest in the sky and give us the bird's eye view, the view of the highest self, the most divine self. We thank you for that perspective. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is also fire energy, the place of the rising sun, the springtime of our life, and all birth and renewal. So we thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And now to the winds of the south. This is where it's earth energy. This is Brother Snake humbly slithering along earth, teaching us to shed new skin, to become who we are right now in the full noon time of our life, the summertime of our life, and to completely embrace who we're being in full bloom. We thank you, thank you, thank you, Brother Snake, for letting go of old things to be who we are right now. And then, of course, we call in the winds of the west. This is the water element. This is all of our deep-seated emotions. This is the fall of our life, the rites of passage that we go through. Brother whale, brother jaguar, all animals that move in and out of the water, dolphins, mermaids. And we thank you for showing us how to move through rites of passage and how to learn from all of the difficult things in our lives. And we thank you for that. And then we invite in the winds of the north, the spirit of our ancestors, place of spirit of hummingbird, lightness of being, and of course elk and caribou. These are animals that teach us about endurance, to know that in order to get to the winter of our lifetime, we've had to endure many things, and we've learned from them, and we are grateful for them. We thank you for that. And as always, Mother Earth, wherever you're at, just feel maybe the backs of your thighs, all the way down into the feet that are on the ground, that are sitting on a chair, whatever you're doing, feel your connection to Mother Earth. Feel how powerful she is. No matter how we try to abuse her, she still loves us and is here for us, and we're enveloped in her very grounding, comforting womb. Thank you, Mother Earth. And to Father Sky, who the sky is the limit. There is no limit. We thank you for allowing us to expand into our greatest being, and to all the star nations who are wiser than us, who have taught us many things that we don't even know, and who I believe watch over us benevolently to make sure that we don't harm ourselves. We thank you. Thank you. And of course, Grandmother Moon, who we will be relying upon this coming weekend, and Grandfather Sun. We thank you for the cycles of life that you give us. And as always, all of our archangels, guardian angels, ascended masters, benevolent light beings, thank you so much for being here and giving us your wisdom. And so I have right here, we got Shelly would like an animal card. Okay. Risa, an herbal card. Jen, an animal card. Okay. And Bethany, an animal card. Wonderful. The other thing too is this week, kind of really think, if you haven't already, start thinking about what animal is really resonating with you in regards to the thing that gives you tenacity. For me, it's the jaguar and the wolf, the thing that helps you move through difficult times. And so if you use this animal in Animal Totem for their medicine and this healing meditation that I'm doing, anytime you do like a journey or a meditation in the spirit world, you can use the energy, the medicine of these animals to help you. And one of the things I think it's really important this week is to feel safe enough to tap into some scary, difficult emotions. So get to know your animal that gives you strength. So and your archangels, and find out who it is that you rely on to help you reach your highest self. So let's pull the cards for this week. I'm going to shuffle 3 times. And this week I didn't have any particular animal like really stand out new to me. Lots of turkey vultures again. That's probably no coincidence. Turkey vultures are very knowing, cunning animals. So maybe we need to have a lot of awareness about ourselves. And it may not always be good stuff. It might be uncomfortable truths, but that's why we call upon our other animal totems. As a turkey vulture would be a messenger, right? For me, at least. Our animal totems to help us through some of these uncomfortable truths. So, cutting the deck 3 times. And lastly. All right, so laying the card for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and for the week. Queen of Cups, Lady's Mantle. We're already in water energy. Lots of water energy this week. Lady's Mantle. Let's look that up. Queen of Cups. Has anybody here worked with Lady's Mantle energy before? I've never worked with it personally. Queen of Cups. Okay. So the Queen sits on a rock surrounded by the sea of emotions, and yet is close to the shore of earth, representing a centering and grounding of the emotions. Well, that's perfect, right? Those of us who are going to fare well this week are those of us who are more centered in self. And this is telling you to get started with being centered in self. To further strengthen the symbolism, she's situated behind Lady's Mantle, an herb whose main function is to coalesce the water, emotions, and earth, manifestation elements within. That's a lot of that Mars-Pluto energy, the within and without, okay? The Queen of Cups represents a woman in full command of her powers of vision and dreams. She knows what she has to offer and what she is capable of receiving. She is not lost in hopeless romantic delusions, but like the moon, she is able to reflect to others what they most need to see in themselves. This is some of that full moon in Scorpio, like really understanding your uncomfortable truths. Like, what do you need to know? And maybe you have somebody in your life who you're the deliverer of their uncomfortable truths. Do it with love and kindness, okay? She loves the ocean or large bodies of water and is inspired and healed by their proximity. Our Queen definitely chooses not to indulge in feelings of loss or deprivation in affairs of the heart, but she should watch what she does not indulge in that she does not indulge in extreme mood changes, thereby deceiving herself and others as to the precise nature of her real feelings. So if there's going to be lots of turbulent energy, don't indulge yourself in it. Don't go crazy with it, because it's going to be passing, and it's asking you to basically be an adult about it. Be the mature woman about it, and know that, okay, in the past, when I was a child, I would do childish things, and now I put away childish things, and I am an adult about things. And that's the energy you're going to need also when you're witnessing yourself healing this inner child, all these crazy, deep emotions of the child that you maybe were, as an adult, repressing, like, I can't do that, I can't indulge myself. So when you do get to the point where you're releasing these emotions, you will be indulging yourself, but it will be safe to do so. So there's the difference there. Lady's Mantle, this herb symbolizes the power of control. And what perfect energy other than Scorpio for being in control. Scorpio has very intense, very controlling at times. I don't want to say dark energy, but it can be dark. So just remember that. That's going to be an element this week. In what ways are you trying to control your environment? Are you being OCD about things? Are you hanging on to the need to control a lot? I would expect that to turn up this week. And when it does, you're aware of it, and how do you feel like you're going to deal with it? Okay, so look to Lady's Mantle to help you with that. Lady's Mantle is primarily used to regulate menstrual bleeding. So what is menstrual bleeding anyway? It's the releasing of the old. It's letting go that what we don't need. If you're overindulgent and you're having excessive bleeding, it's your body's way of saying, okay, we need to come into tune and center with ourselves, because now we're overdoing it. And Lady's Mantle can help you with that excessive watery energy. Okay. I receive satisfaction and joy in sharing the cup of my beingness with another. When you're in control of your emotions and your feelings, it's easier to share yourself with other people. When you're feeling really turbulent inside, irritated with others, it's going to be hard to connect with others. Just understand that this week is probably going to be a challenge for everybody. So if you got to stop trying to connect, because in the connecting is causing strife, relax into it. Just know this too shall pass, okay? Wednesday, Thursday. Ooh, Four of Pentacles. A lot of water, earth energy. I really think the water, earth energy tends to balance each other out in a good way. Because what tends to direct water in a river? The sides of the earth, right? And over time, what erodes the earth? The water, right? So the two, they have a very complementary energy about them. So let's see, at the beginning, in the middle of the week, Cascara bark. Okay, the Four of Pentacles. A woman sits on a neat and orderly checkerboard floor. Her head is covered with a close-fitting scarf, and she has a tight look about her. She has reached a place within herself where she feels secure and centered. Okay, I'm seeing a theme here about really doing exercises to center yourself through all this really intense, turbulent energy. She understands structure and order and will use these tools to actualize her visions. Something's come to me. If you know you're overscheduling yourself, stop doing it, because you know it's going to lead to you getting aggravated this week. So really pay attention to the things that you know are good for you and go do those things. Like, maybe I need to pare down my schedule this week. The woman sits and is able to reserve and direct her power and will defend her position when necessary. That said, boundaries are going to come up, and it may feel like a battle to maintain your boundaries. Don't let it be a battle. Just be firm and consistent, and know that people will respect you when you're firm and consistent, not when you're flipping out and you're yelling and screaming. That's like very out of balance feminine energy that shrewish energy. But when you're calm and you're centered and you're very clear and you state your case, basically, people respect it and they listen to you. The woman must watch that she doesn't get so tight that she becomes fixated and stubborn. If she begins to think that her power comes from the status she holds or from her possessions, then she will begin to function in a fearful way and forget that the true power is divine spirit flowing through her. So again, the ability to be, or the urge to get fearful about this crazy energy, when we're feeling really turbulent, we're out of control, what's the first thing we want to do? We want to try to control things. And that may not be the most ideal way to connect with others. You can't heal your own inner feelings of security trying to control other people. When you control yourself, and you know, maybe I needed to stay, you know, away from other people for the week. I'm going to be good. You know I like to sit at home and read. That's more comforting to me. Find the ways that you get back to your center in an easier way. Okay, so and know if it works for you, you know, find the things that work for you and kind of be prepared this week. So in the background is an outhouse, which indicates that she may become spiritually constipated and may need to take a spiritual laxative to loosen up a bit. Immobility and clinging to old things that are no longer needed are two areas which need watching. On the other hand, she must take care not to let things pass through without absorbing their full intent and meaning. This is really important. Most of the time when we're repressing emotions, this whole week is going to be an excellent time where repressed emotions are coming up, and it's going to feel crazy because most of the time we haven't felt safe enough to feel them. And when they do come up, we get kind of scared because they do feel out of control, and let them pass. Because the more you try to control them and not let them rise up to the surface, sit with the discomfort and let them go, then that's when you start feeling that like really stagnant, constipated energy. It's really important though to process it. Like, yeah, I'm really pissed right now. Okay, I'm not going to hold on to the anger. Let me just feel really pissed off for a few minutes. Okay, I'm good. It's over. So don't just be like, nope, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm in total denial here. This isn't making me mad. Nope, not going to feel mad. Don't do that to yourself. Say, yeah, this really pissed me off, and then now I'm going to let it go. That's what they're talking about. Otherwise, if you're not addressing it, then it's going to come back later, eventually, in some other way. On weeks like this, where repressed emotions come out and you're like, where is this coming from? This is when all that old energy is coming out. On the other hand, she must take care not to let things pass through without absorbing their full intent. Yeah, that's exactly it. Their full intent. Spiritually, this herb, cascara bark, also known as cascara sagrada, will enable one to let go of fixed and outmoded thoughts and ideas. Old experiences will be loosened up and released. I mean, this is perfect energy for releasing repressed emotions. When we're talking about repressed emotions, something else comes to mind. Not like maybe finally admitting you've desired something in your life. I desired the love of my parent. I desired to be witnessed by a friend who couldn't be there for me. I desired to have a man be kind and considerate to me, or something that you haven't fully allowed to come, that desire to come to fruition. This is a really good time for that. So old experiences will be loosened up and released so that there's not a condition of spiritual and mental constipation and toxicity. Because when we don't admit that we really desired something, then we'll find all these repressed ways in which to be angry about it instead of actually allow it to become a thing we're able to receive. So the bitter principles of cascara bark stimulate the secretions of the entire digestive system. It's basically saying waking you up from the inside, waking up all those old desires, all those repressed feelings, all those things that you haven't been able to admit you were thinking or feeling. And of course, that Scorpio energy is great for letting it go. It's safe for you to let it come to the surface this week. It may not feel safe, but in the end, it's going to be safe. Because once you let it out of you, it can't bother you anymore. It can't be a toxic source of stress for you anymore. Affirmation is, I acknowledge my spiritual power and security. I discover my faith within. So that's really important. When you don't feel safe, just remember that's an illusion. It's an illusion because you are in control of that feeling of spiritual power and security. Okay, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm curious to see what. Three of Swords. Ooh, look at that. And of course, swords right in the heart. Let's see. Pleurisy root. Those of you who aren't aware, pleurisy is kind of a rare medical condition now, but it used to be a big one where essentially the lining on your lungs would get inflamed. And your lungs are, what are your lungs? Your ability to take in air, your ability to take in the breath of life, essentially. And when we have a lot of grief, your lungs are one of the first things that gets affected by it. So when you can die of a broken heart, but most people die because they accumulated some sort of lung disorder like COPD, emphysema. If you come down with bronchitis, something like that hanging on is typically like an old grief that you can't let go of. And so pleurisy root is one of those that helps your lungs to process through the irritation, the inflammation. And I'm willing to bet it's going to help you through some of these really difficult, deep, grief-filled emotions, which aren't fun, but once you get it out of your system, you just feel so much better. So let me look at Three of Swords here. Three of Swords. Three swords pierce the heart, which is surrounded by dark clouds. There is a need to heal past relationships and shattered ideals. This is absolutely the weekend to do it. And sadness, depression, and memories of difficult separations are in one's thoughts and need to be released. But you can't make this up. So this is perfect. The seeds falling from the plant and the parting of the clouds convey the possibility that since the pain is now being dealt with, you're letting it come to the surface, one will be able to create a vision for a new beginning. So that's that Aries and Chiron, or Chiron and Aries energy. This, like, we're not wounded anymore. We're not in Pisces. We're not in that, oh, woe is me, grief-filled, sad energy. It's, okay, we're dealing with it. We're healing ourselves. And now what are we going to do with it? And this gives you a better balance. It says a better balance will soon be reached. So after you let go of the grief, after you let it go, there's going to be this space to create a much better future for you. Let's see. Learning how to relate to others without losing oneself is important. Like I was saying, if you're really turbulent on the inside, it's going to be hard to connect to other people on the outside. This may be a time to become more objective toward the emotions. Like the Queen of Cups was saying, stay centered, don't indulge yourself. On the other hand, one must be careful not to use the mind to sort out the emotions. This is really important. Even if something doesn't make sense to you, like, I don't feel like I have a right to be mad, or you have guilt about feeling angry or sad, or like, why am I so sad? This doesn't make sense, or you're really hard on yourself for how you're feeling a certain way. Don't worry about it. Your emotions are there for a reason, okay? Don't judge yourself. On the other hand, one must be careful not to use the mind to sort out the emotions, ending up in constant self-analysis and introspection. That's that navel gazing. You're not releasing it. It's just staying there, kind of doing the open loop thing. There is a need for balance between the emotions and the mind. This can best be accomplished through the use of herbs, meditation, and affirmations. And guided meditations here. So counselors and good listeners that work with people who are emotionally distraught with heartbreaks and trauma must learn to be more detached, or their sympathies may get them embroiled with others' feelings, making their counsel less effective. I can safely say I understand this concept because I was working with, I was processing my own issues with trauma, and here I am doing this court case with this sex offender who's an attorney and he's trafficking these young girls who I worked with in the jail. It was bringing up a lot of collective unconscious energy around the patriarchy and, this anger about sexuality and women's sexuality. And it started to really affect my health. And so this is what they're talking about. Take care of yourself. You can't, if you stay the wounded healer, you're not going to be able to move forward and witness other people and help them. So, but I would say put on your own mask first. Worry about you and your own healing journey first. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to help anybody else. Hi, Chris. Hi, Jessica. I see you're just popping on. And Chris, you would like an animal card. And Jessica, if you want an animal card or an herbal card, you let me know, and I'll be happy to pull one for you. Okay, so just to finish up with the pleurisy root, here we go. Many times grief and sadness become stuck in the lungs and manifest as congestion and phlegm. Again, that pleurisy, that COPD, chronic emphysema. If you guys have heard me talk about the ACEs study, the acute, adverse childhood experiences study, those of us who've had adverse childhood experiences almost are guaranteed to develop some sort of lung disorder later in life. Why is that? I really believe it's the energy, the trapped grief, and at the same time also because we're taking on coping habits like smoking that aren't necessarily helpful but give us some sort of comfort, and of course they lead to lung disorders. But think about that. Why is it comfortable to smoke? I used to smoke, believe it or not, and then I realized I can get comfort from something, the breathing in something non-toxic. But there's so many herbs you can smoke that aren't carcinogenic, that are actually really good for your lungs. I don't want to get into that. But freeing oneself from past pains and heartbreaks, that's the key words for pleurisy root and for this weekend. I mean, like, you can't make this up. It's perfect for the full moon of Scorpio and Chiron and Aries. This just energy to let go of your old baggage and really address past trauma and your heartbreaks, and and that feeling of things didn't go the way they were supposed to go, the grief you had around that. This is the time to let it go. Even if it's irrational, it doesn't make any sense, you feel like, I can't admit I feel that way because I don't really believe I have the right to feel that way. All of that mishmashed crap, that hucha, as they say in the Quechua Indian tribe in South America, it's hucha, that heavy, dark energy. Get rid of it. This is the perfect week to let it come up, feel it, let it go. So, yeah, Chris, we could talk about the smokable herbs. Yeah. And sage is one. When you inhale it, it actually has antibacterial properties. So that's why we smudge with sage so much. Palo Santo. Hello, I'm my brain tongue-tied here. Some of those, we'll get into that later. But anyways, affirmation for pleurisy root: I allow the emotional pain to leave me. I allow the emotional pain to leave me. And I think some of us who have really repressed, like, early childhood trauma, it stayed down there because we had to stay numb. We were afraid to feel it. And there was a great quote this week that was talking about pain travels through families until someone is willing to feel it. And I want to say they're brave enough to feel it. And there's this concept of generational trauma, and in our cultural trauma, and we're the ones who are brave enough to feel it and heal it at this time. So this is great energy to do that, to really just say, yeah, you know what, we've been through a lot of shit and it really sucked and it hurt and I was angry and pissed off, but now we're healing it and we're moving forward with it. That's that Chiron and Aries, and I really love that. Chiron, the wounded healer, he was also a warrior. So we now are tapping into not just the wounded healer part of him, but we're tapping into the spiritual warrior part of him. So The other half of this affirmation, I allow the emotional pain to leave me. My heart is one with the divine. Knowing, tapping into your higher self is going to be one of the most healing aspects of this whole week, and releasing emotions. The divine self, the part of you that's already whole, no matter what happens to you. You cannot be broken. You can't be broken. So, hello, ladies. Oh, and you can't make, I'm like, Spirit, you're hilarious. This is the other energy, the moon. That's the energy for this week. The overall energy for this week. I just, you're hilarious, Spirit. Very much so. Moon energy is, and of course, right now we're in waxing moon energy. Waxing is like, this is the best way to explain it. Like when you have your ovary is ready to burst out an egg, and you finally burst the egg out. That's full moon energy. Most of us women are in tune, our cycles are in tune with the moon, and most of us ovulate during the full moon. I know there's like, I think it's white or red bleeders, or there's cycles of it. If you bleed during the full moon, you're one, and if you bleed during the new moon, you're another. Majority of people bleed during the new moon, and so they ovulate when the full moon comes to fruition, because it's basically your egg, your creativity. It's come to fruition, it's bursting out in a very tangible way, represents the same energy of the full moon. And this is the energy we're going to use to heal that crappy, junky energy. Just, it's coming out, and we're going to let it go. So the moon, let's look up the moon here. What does Grandmother Moon have to say this week? And I have a feeling we already know. So let's see. All right. So the moon, ruled by Pisces, is in charge of our evolution both physically and spiritually. As we recognize our self-unfoldment, we must confront our hidden fears in the shadow side of ourselves. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Okay. Our bodies must reflect and incorporate the old and new energies with which we now function. You know, and something's come to me too, that it's so healing to be talking about all this amongst ourselves, to be able to say, okay, you know what, before in the past I was just going within and struggling with all these internal turbulence, and now let's all collectively talk about it, and let everybody's struggling, everybody's feeling it right now, and to love that person in their place of struggle. Because, you know, you could look at your partner and be like, you know, you're being really controlling right now, and blame them or whatever. Or you could say, you know what, I know you're really struggling with your own feelings inside, and so I'm going to love you in that place, because you can't control me. I won't allow it. Those are my boundaries. So it's just that space there to really know that we're all in this together. Sometimes, unfortunately, but we're all in this together. Our bodies must reflect and incorporate the old and new energies with which we now function. Again, after we go through this like huge release, there's going to be a new way of being. You just, when you know better, you do better. During sleep, moon energies process the changes that we go through in all aspects of our being, body, mind, and spirit. And mind you, this is a major arcana card. So that means like this is powerful energy, a huge shift. Think about that. Chiron and Aries is going to be for the next 9 years, I think till 2025, whatever, I can't do the math, 2025, 27, something like that. Almost the next decade. So think about where you're going to be for the next decade. What sort of energy do you want to set the tone for? This is saying this is the perfect energy. This is the perfect energy to plant these types of seeds for. What kind of seeds are you planting? So the moon also helps us to realize that forces greater than our own thoughts guide our evolution. This is super important, because whenever I got into like, oh yeah, I'm a co-creator and I'm manifesting as long as I'm thinking great thoughts and whatever, there's also these mysteries of the universe that where if I surrender to spirit, spirit took care of something for me in a way that was just amazingly like beyond what I could have thought of. There's so many things that we don't know that are working in our favor. And I feel like those of us who are still fearful of letting the old crap come up because we're afraid of the pain, understand that we're really being pushed to release this for a reason. We're making space for the new, and there's something new and amazing coming up. Just trust that process. You may not even know what it is. Just know that if you're doing the work, you're setting yourself up for something really good. So the moon has long been thought of as the grandmother, the mother of the earth. Her reflected sunlight is part of the dreamscape of all forms and ideas which are to be and which have been. All things blend in her light, and the forms are softened. The primal yin energy that she emanates calls forth in us feelings and emotions that have long been hidden. Again, that hidden, repressed energy. She's the Piscean mist that sees all things as part of the flowing divine life force. So there's something else too. When you're releasing like this crappy energy, understand that that was just part of your human experience. It's like the yin and the yang, and part of the whole. You can't have the good without the bad. And you know, maybe in the divine world there's not that dichotomy, but here in this 3D world, we have the good and the bad. We have everything that happens to us is happening for us. So everything that we went through, there's some blessing in the lesson, okay? The moon is the water and the substance of life. And of course, lots of water energy this week. Emotions, I call it like the deep well of knowing. The scorpion on the moon card represents the self-centered ego. There's that Scorpio, right? Scorpio is that self-centered ego, that deep, dark, angry, repressed energy. Well, it's intense. That's really what it is. When the scorpion's internal reality changes, it can step out of its shell and move on to the next form, which is the lizard, a creature with the ability to regenerate itself. Here we go with that Aries, you know, Chiron and Aries. That's the regeneration after you finally healed yourself. You're no longer the wounded healer. And the rocks represent the mineral kingdom and its evolution, and the plant is a representative of the plant's kingdom's evolution. The idea of evolution, metamorphosis, and doing what is instinctive are all part of the moon's pull. So I want you to put it in perspective. Think about this. There's a force out there that even when you're sitting here talking, you know, listening in, it's growing your nails, it's growing your hair, it's growing the grass outside, it's growing, your cells are coming into homeostasis without you having to do a darn thing. It's that divine force that's within all of us, and that's there to guide us through this whole process this week. And just to be mindful of that. So lemon balm is the herb of evolution. That's the herb with the moon here. The lovely lemon balm, also known as Melissa, anyone named Melissa here, has long been known as an herb that balances the feelings and the emotions. It helps resolve moodiness and melancholia, and it was sacred to alchemists, and the plant-based philosopher's stone is made from an alchemical preparation of this plant. So in a metaphorical sense, Melissa guides us as we traverse the misty emotional state of the moon and enables us to view our emotions and feelings. So without getting lost in them, that's the importance. Letting them come up to the surface, letting them bubble over, letting them go away. This is an excellent herb for children who function on moon energy for the first years of their lives. You can make tea with lemon balm. You can meditate on lemon balm. Moonstone is going to be really excellent energy for you this week. When you make moon tea as opposed to sun tea, you can place ½ ounce of lemon balm in a quart jar and let it sit in the moonlight for 2 to 8 hours. Place the jar on the earth if possible so that it can partake in the earth's energies as well. That's interesting, lemon balm. I'm going to have to try that moon tea. You stick it outside in the moonlight. And you can also charge your crystals that way. Put them out in this full moon energy. It's going to be oh, you planted lemon balm yesterday. Look at you guys. Awesome. Chris, you grow lemon balm. See? Now you can make some full moon tea with it. If you need to get in touch with and release deeper emotions, then drink this tea on a full moon night. Sounds perfect for this weekend. During the full moon, plants go into a deep meditation, and this is a good night for people to meditate as well. You can't make this stuff up. Oh, this is great. So, anybody getting little chills? I'm getting chills here. Okay. Medicinally, at the onset of a cold or flu, prepare Melissa as a standard infusion and drink 3 cups per day. The affirmation: my emotions are rivers to the ocean of peace. I flow with the rhythm of life. So just let it know that after all this crazy, turbulent energy, you're flowing with the energy of life when you're releasing that craziness. So, all right. I'm going to check and see if check your little comments here. Yes. Okay, so Jessica wants an animal card. Okay, perfect. And then yes, I can share more with you, Risa, about ACEs, definitely. And I'm glad you liked the waxing moon explanation. Yeah, if you guys know, if you guys ever tried that lemon balm tea, let me know, because I'd really like to see how that turns out. That's very interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the one herbal card for Risa. And let me ask Spirit to guide us as we gather the information for Risa here. What does Spirit want you to know? Okay. Knight of Wands, aconite. I think this came up last week. It's a poisonous herb. Knight of Wands, which is fire energy, which is, I think, the first fire energy we've seen in today's poll at all. So, I don't know if that's significant in any way. Knight of Wands. For me, being a fire sign, I find watery energy like really overwhelming. But it tends to, like a good campfire, you dump water on it, spark goes out. So for me, fire and water energy don't mix that well, but you can make steam, you can make all kinds of things with it. So there's plenty of ways to use those two elements. So the Knight of Wands, representing the expanding and volatilizing aspect of fire. He is an armored, hot-blooded warrior ready to take on a cause vigorously. That's going to be some of that Scorpion energy this week. Be careful not to take on more than you can chew, because it's going to be, yes, you're definitely fiery. Sagittarius moon for sure. So this week we could get really inspired and like, you know, I'm going to go out and save the world, and then all of a sudden like, oh crap, maybe that was a bit much. So just tend to that a little bit. Like you're wanting to be in action, like, oh my god, this frustrated feeling is bursting out of me and I need to go do something with it. Just, you can do more productive things with it, you know, go beat up a punching bag, or you know, don't take on more than you can chew. If a woman draws the card, the Knight of Wands would be most like the character Brunhilde in Wagner's Ring Cycle. I'm still gonna have to look that up. An enthusiastic female warrior. Whenever they say that, do any of you guys watch Game of Thrones? I'm thinking of who was the lady who, the female knight. That's who I'm thinking of. I don't know her name, but those of you who watch Game of Thrones know who I'm talking about. Very tall woman. She was like protecting the Stark sisters. Anyways, that's who I'm thinking of. That's another person who represents this Knight of Wands energy. an enthusiastic female warrior whose exuberant personality tends to align with and champion various causes. The Knight of Wands is bold and unafraid to act quickly and with great courage. He must guard against becoming too macho and insensitive. Such an individual does best when he directs his competitive spirit to overcoming personal shortcomings and limitations rather than trying to dominate and control others. So we kind of know, like, this week, let's just be aware of our tendency to react and to react in a way by trying to control others. That's just our way of addressing our own internal sense of being out of control. So if he is at all intelligent, he will learn for himself the power or simplicity of yielding. Yes, that's important. It will be better for his life expression, however, if he could learn this sooner rather than later, for then he could direct his boundless energy and will to personal spiritual growth and to service to others. Just to be aware of that need to overexert yourself or overextend, like you're saying, and just be aware of not needing to control things. You're going to feel a lot more determined, wanting to dominate, wanting to conquest this week, having a lot of willful intention. And however it may manifest, I have universal power at my command, and I can and do make a difference. So just ask Spirit to help you. Like, how can I best use this energy? What's going to be the most helpful to me this week or to others? Like, how can I use this in the, make me an instrument of your peace? Where can you use me to let some of this crazy energy go in the most helpful way? So let's break into the animal deck. And that was for Risa. And now I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards for Shelly, Jen, Bethany, Chris, and Jessica. Oop. Okay. As I'm shuffling these cards, I want us to ask Spirit to let us know what we need to know this week as we navigate these crazy times. And let me know if you guys are interested in attending this healing meditation, so I can get a feel for who wants to be there. Oh, you're so welcome, Risa. One more time. Okay, this one's for Shelly, Jen, Bethany, Chris, and Jessica. So this is unique for me because this is the first time that I've drawn cards, and I've drawn 2 of them, where this is for Shelly. Where are we at? Shelly and Jessica, where it's the blank cards. These basically are where you pick the animal that resonates with you. And let me look this up here. the blank shield cards. And I have a feeling there's a reason for this, because for both of you, included in the medicine card deck are 9 cards with blank shields on them. If you feel a close kinship with a certain animal which has not been included in the deck, such as an elephant, flamingo, trout, or mountain goat, or in my case, turkey vulture, we recommend that you write the name on that animal within the circle of one of these shields. So I'm asking you to really take in what animal are you really resonating with, and pick the spirit of that animal for their medicine this week to help you through this crazy turbulent time. For me, I love jaguar energy. To get jaguar, if you ever watch them in the wild, Nat Geo has some really amazing Blue Planet, Planet Earth, some of their specials about the jaguar. They are phenomenally tenacious hunters. They can sometimes go like a whole week without eating, but they will not give up on their survival. They continue to hunt, and they'll keep going, and they'll continue to dominate their world until they reach their goal, which is to find their kill. And most of the time, they're the only animal in the jungle in South America that can take down the big caiman. A caiman is basically an alligator. And so I would say really tune in and ask yourself, what animal am I identifying with that will help me the most get through this crazy turbulent week? This same method may be used to create a shield, a self shield, which can be amended to the deck. It may also be kept separately for use as a Sacred Mountain card or central card in the spread to designate your energy. So I'm feeling though like there's something here where you're supposed to come in contact with or connect with this animal energy that you really feel will help you through this week, their medicine. And if for me, if you ever go get a medicine card deck yourself, when you get these blank cards, if somebody reads the cards for you before that, you can write in your 9 animal totems. So for me, it might be turkey vulture, it might be jaguar, but there's already a jaguar card in here. So anyways, again, for both Shelly and Jessica, get in tune with the animal that you feel will help you through this week with that turbulent energy. Okay, so the armadillo, that's what Jen has, the armadillo. And I'm not entirely satisfied with that answer that I gave you guys about the blank cards, so I'm going to look into that. But really, also maybe it's saying trust in your innate nature. Trust in the blank space, trust in the void. So armadillo 28. This is for Jen, the armadillo. Armadillo, armor all my boundaries, teach me my shields, reflect all the hurt, so I will not yield. So this is a good card to have for this week as you're addressing internal angst. And armadillo wears its armor on its back, its medicine a part of its body. Its boundaries of safety are a part of its total being. Armadillo can roll into a ball and never be penetrated by enemies. What a gift it is to set your boundaries so that harmful words or intentions just roll off. Your lesson is in setting up what you are willing to experience. I love that. Your lesson is in setting up what you are willing to experience. So if you're not available for something, you're not going to be available for nonsense. Don't be willing to deal, you say, I am only willing to experience, kindness, love, being fully witnessed, whatever. Those are the boundaries that you're setting. And if someone doesn't meet those needs or those boundaries, then goodbye. If you do not wish to experience feeling invaded, just call on armadillo medicine. A lot of that sexual violation energy that's going on with the Me Too movement. Ask armadillo to help you through that. A clue to how to proceed is to make a circle on a piece of paper and see it as a medicine shield. In the body of the shield, write all that you are desiring to have, do, or experience. Include all things that give you joy. This sets up boundaries that allow only these chosen experiences to be part of your life. These boundaries become a shield that wards off the things which are undesirable to you. The shield reflects what you are and your will is to others on an unconscious level. Outside of the shield, you may put what you are willing to experience by invitation only. For example, a visit from a long-lost relative, or criticism from a friend, or people needing handouts. If armadillo has waddled into the cards you chose, it is time to define your space. You may have been too willing to let your home become a bus station. You may find that you cannot say no, even when you know that you will have to cancel plans to be obliging. This routine can get old in a hurry. It may be time to ask yourself the following questions. Am I honoring the time I need for my personal enjoyment? Do others treat me like a doormat? Why do I always get upset when I'm taken for granted? Is there a reason for my being a yes person? All the answers to these questions relate to setting up boundaries. What you will and won't do, what makes you feel uncomfortable and what is comforting to you, how you react in any circumstance has to do with your ability to be objective. You cannot be objective if you cannot tell where the other person's personality stops and where yours begins. If you have no boundaries, you're like a sponge. It will seem as if all the feelings in a room full of people must be yours. That's going to be really important this week to differentiate what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine. Some of your painful experiences could be related to boundary violations. Let those go. Don't meaning make around it. Just say, you know what, from now on, this is my new way of being. This is what I will allow into my existence. Ask yourself if you're feeling deeply depressed, or if this feeling actually belongs to the person you're talking to. Again, if we're sensitives, we tend to pick up on collective unconscious energy. Again, with that like kind of sexual exploitation energy I was feeling, like this doesn't really apply to me, but I'm feeling it and I'm processing a lot of it for everybody else. And at the same time, it could be some repressed energy of my own that I'm not dealing with. And so that's why it's coming up. Then ask yourself if you're feeling really depressed or if this feeling actually belongs to the person you're talking to. Then allow armadillo's armor to slice in between, giving you back your sense of self. Okay, so all about boundaries and being the thing that you create that protection for yourself. And be careful not to take on other people's emotions. So that was for Jen. And then now Bethany, we have the wild boar. The wild boar. Wild boar teaches us to confront without fear. And that's great for this weekend. It really is. Ripping apart the denials and lies that appear. Testing courage, finding truth. Its medicine will remain a part of every human path, marking the victories we attain. I like that. Teaches us to confront without fear. So you may have some confrontations this week, and they may not be fun. But stand in your truth. Although the warrior was accustomed to the sultry heat of his bayou homeland, he was shaking as if from a cold draft. The council of elders had caught him telling a lie. The punishment for this offense was banishment from the tribe. To restore his honor among the people, he would have to face the wild boar with a knife as his only weapon. If he failed, he would die, torn apart by the ravaging tusks of the fiery-eyed beast. This prospect filled him with dread. Then the spirit of the wild boar came to him in a dream. It was enraged that the young man had broken his warrior's vows by lying. It told him that he would first have to face and conquer the self-important and deceitful beast within himself if he hoped to survive their combat. The young warrior vowed to honor the truth from that moment forward. He faced the wild boar that day and killed the beast. The warrior kept the tusk of his adversary as a lifelong reminder to always confront the weaknesses within himself. There are several varieties of boar, and this powerful medicine of the warrior clans applies to all of them. The Maya call boar javelina, and the Choctaws saw the razorback as wild boar. Its medicine teaches us to confront human weaknesses and to change them into strengths. The human spirit is empowered through wild boar's willingness to confront fears, the challenges at hand, and uncomfortable circumstances. So when you're releasing some uncomfortable truths this weekend, the wild boar helps you to turn those uncomfortable truths into things that you can learn from. Courageously standing tall without running from the situation that life presents is powerful medicine indeed. If wild boar has charged into your cards today, you're being asked to confront anything or anybody that you have been avoiding. Pay attention. Embrace your warrior nature and find the courage to confront your fears. Or are you being asked to confront a personal weakness or a career challenge? Is it time to finish a project that you abandoned thinking it might be too difficult to accomplish? Confront your feelings regarding some situation that makes you nervous or causes discomfort and bring yourself the peace of your closure. If you have been procrastinating, wild boar is reminding you to quit avoiding the inevitable. In all cases, it is insisting that you be fully present and mindful of what is happening and why. If you drew this card, you already possess the courage needed to confront all that life offers. Just remember where you hid that courage. Let it come up to the surface. If you've been afraid, and not necessarily negative things, but you've been repressing your inner warrior, your inner courage, let it out. It's okay to let it out. Unless you actively embrace your issues, you cannot reclaim your spirit's energy. Half the battle is won through the warrior's willingness to acknowledge and to accept the whole truth at all times. All right. That was for Bethany. I need to get a drink of water. And lastly, for Chris, we have dragonfly energy here. Dragonfly is really powerful energy for this full moon in Scorpio. Dragonfly is all about illusion. Dragonfly breaks illusions, brings visions of power. No need to prove it. Now is the hour. Know it, believe it. Great Spirit intercedes, feeding you, blessing you, filling all your needs. Awesome. Yes, Dragonfly was one of my biggest messengers over the last year or so. Dragonfly medicine is of the dream time and the illusionary facade we accept as physical reality. The great domestication, right? The iridescence of dragonfly's wings reminds us of colors not found in our everyday experience. Dragonfly's shifting of color, energy, form, and movement explodes into the mind of the observer, bringing vague memories of a time or place where magic reigned. So, some legends say that Dragonfly was once dragon, and that dragon had scales like dragonfly's wings. Dragon was full of wisdom and flew through the night, bringing light with its fiery breath. The breath of dragon brought forth the art of magic and the illusion of changing form. Then dragon got caught in its own facade. Coyote tricked dragon into changing form, and the shape of its new body became like dragonflies. In accepting the challenge to prove its power and magical prowess, dragon lost its power. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change, the messages of wisdom and enlightenment, and the communication from the elemental world. This elemental world is made up of the tiny spirits of plants and of the elements air, earth, fire, and water. In essence, this world is full of nature spirits. If dragonflies flown into your cars today, you may have forgotten to water your plants. Or on another level, you may need to give thanks to the food you eat for sustaining your body. On a psychological level, it may be time to break down the illusions you have held that restrict your actions or ideas. So, oh, sorry, Jen. I'm just seeing your message right now. Hope he feels better. Let us know if he's okay. Dragonfly medicine always beckons you to seek out the parts of your habits which you need to change. I don't understand this sentence. Have you put on too much weight, or have you started to look like a scarecrow? Meaning, in other words, are you very thin? I'm assuming. Have you tended to the changes you have wanted to make in your life? If you feel the need for change, call on Dragonfly to guide you through the mists of illusion to the path of transformation. See how you can apply the art of illusion to your present question or situation, and remember that things are never completely as they seem. So, maybe in the releasing of some powerful emotions this weekend, you will come to a conclusion about things, that an illusion will fall away. And he put on a few pounds, yeah. Oh, I'm glad he's okay, Jen. Oh, poor guy. You know, I did the same thing, and this week, that huge urge to finally take action. You know, I'd gained quite a bit of weight myself, and I finally decided this week is the week to do my ketogenic diet, and I went out of my way and made a food prep menu. I started eating that way, and so it's that sort of energy this week that we need to be in. If we're feeling the need to make sweeping changes, how about we just start with 1 week at a time? And I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this card reading. I try to keep them under an hour, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for staying on till the end. And love you guys, and I'm hoping to see you all next Saturday. I will be doing a shamanic omen walk and learning about soul retrieval next Sunday. So depending on how late I get back, I may have to expand the time that I do the card reading. Like, in other words, it may be like 7 p.m. or something like that. Worst case scenario, I'll do it Monday night. So love you guys, and hang in there. This week is just, we're prepared. It's going to be some intense energy, but we're prepared. So love you all. Bye for now.